defence which traditionally has really struggled in the league, and take a look at that for the table. After 11 games, Bournemouth 6th, a level on points with Arsenal, as you can see there. Meanwhile, Manchester United actually 7 points worse off than they were at this stage last season under Jose. In fact, this is, after 11 games, United's worst start to a Premier or to a top flight season in 33 years. So difficult times indeed. Plenty more still to come.
A lot of the ball in the first half an hour or so. Then you seem to stop James and you seem to gradually get yourself back into it.
Yeah, I think that, as I say, we grew into the game for me. We were a little bit standoffish in the first 10-15 minutes. They had too much ball. They looked dangerous. And then once we settled into the game and started to feel confident within ourselves, I thought then we were good.
The guys in the studio are raving about the two centre-halves who had a great game against Martial, Rashford and co.
Yeah, they did. The two centre-halves did really well, Nathan and Steve Cook, and they've had really good seasons to this point. Both really big players for us, and they've really stood up the last 3 games, and we hope that continues.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we should talk about the defence actually. Traditionally, we've talked about Bournemouth as a sort of exciting-looking attacking team, and suddenly Eddie Howe has managed to solve what has been a permanent issue in the defence for the last 3 or 4 years.
What I think he's done very well, Eddie, is he's got Billing and Lerner sitting in front of Cook and Aki, and they got a lovely unit where they got the 2 defensive midfielders and the centre-halves in unison. We've rarely saw United be able to thread balls into Pereira. We didn't know Pereira was playing at certain times. Rashford couldn't get in it. Any time someone went into that box in front of Bournemouth's back 4, they was locked on, they were tight, and I think that was where, and that's why they're not conceding goals. And today, United just couldn't get any type of possession because of that.
But then when you look at, if you flip that, the difference, and we talked about balance, and Bournemouth searching for that balance because they're not conceding but they're not scoring. And the difference is when they got the ball, it seemed like the trigger was straight away. Once they won that ball, the transition was about getting the ball into the 2 centre forwards as quick as possible. The ball went straight up to Wilson or to Josh King, mainly Josh King, and then it was about them holding the ball up and then backing themselves to hold the ball up against the 2 centre halves of Man United, and then let a couple of players join. Like there is a great example, and they've done this all game. They stifled the Man United attack. Yes, the Man United attacks were quite rigid at times, but I thought they were forced to be like that due to the way that this Bournemouth team played.
Of course you are, but when you get to places like this, you've got to take the control of the game. I thought we started really well first 15, but then lack of quality, we couldn't get a goal. And then when it becomes a game like it did, the first goal was always going to be important.
Was it a bad goal to give away on your respect? I mean, Joshua's finish was good, but there's a lot of time, a lot of ball in the penalty area.
Every time you concede a goal, it's a bad goal to give away. But just to build up to it, first into Callum Wilson, he can turn, lay it out, then into Josh. We don't screen him, so of course you're disappointed. But then again, it's a bit of magic that wins the game. You got to say that about Josh's goal.
You pushed towards the end, you threw on the teenagers. What was missing in the performance that you were looking for there? Just more urgency, more tempo?
Yeah, well, some quality at times. Of course, as I said, the goal is important. We put some energy on. After a while, maybe I should have started a couple of others. Who knows? Wednesday night, Saturday, early kickoff sometimes. That might have an effect, but I felt we started the game well, so I don't think that was the case.
Does it feel like 3 steps forward, 1 step back today?
Yeah, it's one of them that if you want to be challenging for top 4 and moving up the table, you need to win games like this. Then again, I'm sure Bournemouth will say that they want a challenge as well, so I hope that they want to win home games. So for us, we disappointed. Then we got a game on Thursday, Partizan. Need to look forward to that. We can make sure we go through. And then we got Brighton before international break.
Thanks, Ollie.
Pleasure.
Disappointed and possibly frustrated as well with a couple of the decisions that maybe he didn't feel went Manchester United's way. So let's just...
Consistency, I think, is the only thing that he's lacking in terms over a long period of time. And I think that if he can get that and really continue getting up and pushing up and staying in within the top 8 of this league, the way he is at the moment, then listen, the sky's the limit for this team, because listen, now they're starting to invest in the team. The area are back in the team fully. It's exciting times at Bournemouth.
I think that's the key, ain't it? It's like Eddie's got them to this stage before. I think now it's the whole mindset of this place. Is can they break into that next stage? You know, don't take your foot off.
What he hasn't done before is solve the defensive issues. Maybe I'm just being simplistic as not an ex-footballer, that once you solve the defence, with a team that are used to scoring goals, that should be an easier thing to fix rather than constantly struggling to mend the defence.
It's like spinning saucers. You sort the defence out and all of a sudden you stop scoring goals, you know, and then you could try and score goals and then you're not making chances and things like that. So he's spinning saucers. But I think the main thing for this club is I think they've consolidated now in the Premier League. If they're going to go on again, you know, maybe it's a case of signing a big name and just letting the message now that we want to be with the big boys. Because like you said, they're on the same amount of points as Arsenal. So it's credit to everyone at the club, in particular the manager.
Yep, and they have 3 clean sheets on the bounce now. But you're right about the goals. They're 6 goals less than they were at this stage last season, so they are scoring less. Let's just focus on the goal that they did score, though, today. From a Manchester United defensive perspective, and what should have been better, particularly
First
from
and foremost, it was a fantastic goal. Great bit of skill. And we'll see it develop here. Joe mentioned about flooding the box with players, and this is what they've done. And that causes a lot of confusion. You can see Man United, the structure of their team all over the place because of the bodies getting in and around the box. And you see they develop it, they get it back out wide here. Decent ball. We'll slow it down here. And once the ball goes to Josh King there, Wan-Bissaka's marking him, as you can see. Wan-Bissaka's whole focus here should be one thing, is to make sure that Josh King goes back that way. If anything, he passes it, he moves with it, whatever he does, he goes back that way, and he doesn't allow him to get back facing his David De Gea in the Man United goal. Even if he wanted to even if he just says, listen, I accept, he's going to roll the ball back here to Wilson. But Wilson's still got 5 players to beat, including his own men there. So it's still up in the air whether he's going to hit the target because there's bodies there that can actually stop the ball going in. He doesn't do that, and if we slowly play it forward, he nibbles. He reaches in. And once you reach in like that, Wan-Bissaka there, we can see as I highlight the 2 players there. Once you reach in like that, you are giving the forward the opportunity to roll you. Josh King's a strong lad. He likes contact. If he feels contact on his right, he will roll you to get to his left-hand side. And obviously then that's what he does here. And before you know it, he's facing the goal. David De Gea can't do anything about it.
It's rash, isn't it, really? Like I said, you know, we talk about composure with strikers in the box, but composure with defenders. Yeah. Someone like Rio, someone of the top defender, we see, they're like they can not panic. You know, me in that situation, when I found myself in the box defending, I would have done what Wan-Bissaka done. I wouldn't have had the composure to do it. But the top defenders, and he needs to learn that in his game because he's got a lot of attributes, Wan-Bissaka.
Do you know what happens as a defender in a situation? You think, don't let him score, don't let him score, don't let him score, and you start anxiety just builds up in an instant inside you. The top defenders in that situation go, right, there's clarity. He's going to go back to his own goal. I'm going to wait for him to make a move, then I'll make my move. It isn't like all fast, 100-mile-an-hour thinking, and that's the problem. That's between the sets the good defenders apart from. I keep saying that the good players, the good defenders from the top players. You've got to be calm.
It separates the experienced defenders from the inexperienced.
It's a massive point.
Defenders.
A massive point. Listen, and we could sit here and dissect Aaron Wan-Bissaka's game, and there's some great stuff about his game. I mean, his recovery tackles, the way he does, he's making more tackles in games than anyone in the league. And when he's facing his own goal in a foot race with anybody, I'd back him against anybody 1v1 like that. But there are going to be elements to his game that you have to learn: patience, timing, and positioning at times. But that's all to come, and that's what Ollie bought him, knowing all this. And this isn't a time to sit here and criticise him. And is he this? Is he that? That's just one instance in the game where he got it wrong. But I could sit there and get a 34-year-old, and he'd make the same mistake at some times.
OK, let's talk about the other end of the pitch for Manchester United. We've just come into this off the back of 3 away games where they looked dynamic, they created chances, and they really sort of huffed and puffed in an offensive area right up until the last 15, 20 minutes today.
Yeah, I think there was a lack of movement. Like we've seen them in the last 3 games where they've been Martial's been popping up on the left, Rashford's there, James has been running inside, people have been popping up in the hole. A lot of good rotation. Today it was just straight lines. They looked a bit fatigued as well. I don't think this team's capable of playing like 3 or 4 games in 10 days. I don't think they've got the quality and depth, and the young lads in particular, they'll find it difficult. As the years go by, it'll become easy for them, but I think playing in Europe, playing the League Cup, and then playing today, I think it caught up with them. They looked a bit fatigued for me.
We're talking a lot about consistency, aren't we? There are times where they look brilliant, but you know, when you look at a City or a Liverpool, it happens every game, whereas sometimes it's...
Well, what is there to say about that then, I wonder? From Manchester United's perspective, first of all.
Well, personally, you know, looking at that performance, you know, when you go to Bournemouth, what you do know is you need to have a competitive team. They're gonna test you, Bournemouth. It's a tight little ground, great little atmosphere. They're going to create chances, so therefore you really need to be on your game. And I didn't think Man United were. I thought they had too many players off the pace today.
I think that's been symptomatic of the season, though, Alan. I think that's what every time I watch them, I wait to see a quality and a consistent crafting of chances. I see more huff and puff than I do them opening up teams. Even here today, I always think you get a chance against Bournemouth to play. Bournemouth like to play themselves and you get a chance to play. But I never saw them carving openings. I saw 3 or 4 shots from outside the box, but nothing where they got in there and you were thinking, wow, that was wonderful football, that. Not at all. I think that's just where United are right now.
What, an ordinary mid-table team?
Well, it's hard to use the word ordinary when you're talking about Manchester United.
No,
one
judge
thing
them
they haven't
you've
been.
always said you judge them on the shirts.
Yeah.
Not the reputation or the history of the club.
Yeah, okay. If I see that team today, do I think they're any better than a mid-table Premier League side right now? No.
The thing that's missing from when you play Man United, what you do know is in the centre of the pitch, they're going to have link play between the midfield and a striker or 2 strikers that are going to unlock the door. That's what you used to face. A midfield player with creative ability like Carrick or whatever, Rooney, Mark Hughes, go down the eras of the Man United team. And that Man United team through the middle wouldn't worry me. That wouldn't worry me if I was a manager. Worries me down the sides a little bit because they've got good pace down the sides with Rashford and Martial. But if therefore you're going to stop Man United, you stop that area in the middle, you've got a good chance of them not scoring.
1-1 against Liverpool, and they talked about the success of playing with 3 centre-backs. They did the same today, didn't they, without any success?
It looked to me at times like Aaron Wan-Bissaka was playing as a right-sided centre-back. He never got forward as often as he could. Ashley Young did, and every time I kept looking up when they were defending and saying Bournemouth were breaking on him, he was there as one of 3. I get why they did it against Liverpool, because Liverpool's full-backs are raiders, and you do have to protect yourself on wide areas of the pitch when you've got the 2 of them, Trent Alexander and Robertson, raiding at you, and he did that so that his fullbacks could block him off, basically man against man. So I get why they did that. But if you're Manchester United and you're going to Bournemouth, do you need to play 3 at the back? I don't know. Listen.
But the other thing about Aaron, Aaron was at Crystal Palace as a winger. He only played 30 odd games as a right back. 39 games for Palace before he gets the move to Man United, and I absolutely can guarantee he's never played centre back before. So if that was what was asked for him today, that would be very unusual because that boy has no experience of that position.